Welcome to Real Estate Investing for Women. On this show, you will learn how to create wealth through real estate the blissful way. That means with very little stress and very little time. We talk about strategies, mindset, heart set, money smarts, resources, and so much more to ensure you're able to create the success you most deeply desire. Now, here's your host, Moneeka Sawyer.
Today, I am so excited to welcome to the show Steven Pesavento. Steven is a real estate entrepreneur and expert relationship direct response marketer. He's a managing partner of VonFinch Capital and investing full-time since 2016. He's completed over 200 transactions, renovated nearly 100 houses, and transacted over $26 million in residential investment real estate. Steven's investors have entrusted him with over $10 million of investor capital, delivering solid, consistent returns. Yay! Steven is the host of the top-rated podcast, The Investor Mindset, and he interviews some of the smartest investing minds and authors like Chris Voss from Never Split the Difference, Jay Papasan from The One Thing, and we actually had his wife on the show, which was really amazing. And then also Joe Fairless from Best Ever Podcast and many others. Hello there, Steven. Welcome to the show.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited. I love your energy. That's what energy everybody should be bringing to their life, right?
No kidding, right? And we talk a lot about this on the show, and I know you're a mindset guy, so we'll cover this today too. But really, our attitude is everything in our businesses and our lives and for our bliss. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. Absolutely.
So, okay, you've got this awesome story. I can't wait to hear about it, where you went basically from failure at 27 to like 200 flips in less than 3 years, right? So could you tell us your story, kind of high level?
Yeah. Well, when I got started in real estate, I had some of the same feeling a lot of you guys feel. And really almost every, new operator has gone through this at some point. And, you have that desire, you really want real estate to be your thing. You're excited about what it can do for you. The financial freedom bug has bit you, but there's just something that seemed to hold me back from actually taking action. So I started my career, of course, back in management consulting. And I thought that I had it all figured out. I thought that, okay, if I go this traditional path, I go to university and I graduate from a great school and I get a killer job. Well, I was making more money than I ever could have imagined, right? I was making more money than my parents growing up. And as a kid, we didn't grow up with a lot, There was one subject in our house that always caused pain, and that really came down to money. And so it was always the focus was how can I create more? How can I make sure that I don't ever have to feel those feelings? But then I got into the career and it didn't solve all the problems, right? I had the money, but I didn't actually have the answer. So I started going on this path, this journey. And when I finally got, down ready to get started in real estate, and a lot of false starts, but the beliefs were what were really holding me back. It was that belief that, I didn't have enough experience, that I, didn't have the family connections, that I didn't have the money, that I didn't know people with lots of money. All these things were they were like a wall in front of me wanting to get started. But I can remember when I finally made that decision to move forward and dive in, I was actually sitting on the couch of my girlfriend of the time's home. I remember jumping up and I just said, you know what? I'm doing this. Not another day, not another minute. I am going to make real estate my career. And that day I decided that I was going to push all in. And that's my mentality. It's 100%. Once I decide something, it's done. And so from there forward, obviously I was able to scale up to over 200 houses in about 2.5 years, flipping in 2 different states out of state. And I was able to do this all by building great systems, hiring a great team, and most importantly, getting surrounded by mentors who had already been down the path. And I've got some stories that I can share about exactly how I went about doing that. But that was the key to my success. Was I had made a decision after I had gotten clear on what I wanted. And then I found a way to get surrounded by other people who had already done it.
Mm-hmm. I talk a lot about that in this show, is finding a mentor. How did you find your mentors? Because there's a lot of people out there talking about this stuff, right?
Well, there's a lot of people who are real estate professionals. They maybe flip some houses, or they're buying multifamily, or they're buying some rentals. There's a lot of folks that you can look to. But where I think you need to start, and where I always advise all my clients and friends and listeners, of course, I'm the host of the Investor Mindset Podcast. So we dive into a lot of these types of conversations about thoughts and how those thoughts lead into action. But it's about figuring out, what do you want first? What do you want, and why is that important to you? And then it comes the who. And then once you know what that is, then you go and find somebody who already has been down that path and already done it. And so for me, I found a local real estate investor event. It was the first action that I took. It was the same day that I made this decision. It's what I recommend everyone else do, is when they make a decision, they should immediately take some kind of action. So I committed myself to going to this event. And one of the speakers happened to be a very well-experienced real estate flipper. And this person, I researched this person in depth. I listened to every podcast I could find. And I tried to ask myself, well, how could I be of value to this person? How could I make a difference in this person's life? What skills or knowledge, or frankly, the fact that I have time, how could I make an impact? And so I thought up this plan, and I went to the event, and I listened, and I asked questions, and I engaged during the conversation. And then I waited, and I waited until everyone else had left and the conversations had kind of died down, as all these people were, of course, going to go and talk to the speaker. That's what often happens. But I made a pitch, and my pitch was, hey, I will do this for you. I will build you this $10,000 to $15,000 website for free. All I'm asking is just, if I can be a part of your inner circle, if I might be able to follow you around at a property, or, ask you some questions from time to time. And before I could even finish asking or making the offer, her hand was out in front, ready to shake it, to lock it in. And it was because I found a way to be of value to her, to be able to help make her life easier, better. And I thought to myself, well, what are those skills that I could do? So the reason that I went this route was because at the time I had a lot more time than I did money. And I had a lot of beliefs about coaching, a lot of beliefs about training, a lot of beliefs about spending money on these things. And I didn't know that that was only limiting my success. And so fast forward, I ended up joining a mastermind group that I was able to get surrounded by, 50 other people who all had the same dream, many of which who already were on that path, and a few who had already had that success. And so by being a part of that community, I was able to see the exact formula, the blueprint about how my business could look. And that gave me the belief, because I said, well, if they can do it, then I can definitely do it. And I modeled my business. In that first year, we had flipped over 75 houses.
Wow, that's awesome. And that's another one of those things, like there's a million masterminds, right? I probably get an invitation to a mastermind every single day. How did you pick the mastermind? Did you just research everybody that was in it, or what did you do?
I think the key to getting a part of a community is you have to, one, it's a little bit of luck, but two, it's mostly about showing up. Right. So I had committed myself to going to this event. It was my first conference that I'd ever gone to. Ended up going to this conference, and it was full of a ton of other people from the community who are also on that same path. Many people who are friends of mine today because I met them at that first real estate conference, right? I'd gone to many events, many meetups. I had done plenty of free training, but spending $1,000 to go to this conference for 3 days was a huge thing for me. Did I have the $1,000? No. But was I committed on going and finding even more people who I could get surrounded by? And the answer is absolutely. And so by getting in this community, I ended up going to the event. I did not join a mastermind. I did not pay for any training as a result of going to that event. But what I did was I got connected to some amazing people. And through those amazing people, I ended up getting my mindset shifted on paying for coaching and mentorship. And it was because of a business partner of mine that I, again, was trading my time to be able to do a bunch of services within his business to get access to some more training. And through that conversation, ended up leading to a partnership, and through his lessons, ended up realizing the value of joining this mastermind. And I thought, well, I'm splitting with my partner. It seems like it's a no-brainer. And within about 24 hours of joining that group, I had already received enough value that directly led to paying for that whole $25,000 or $30,000 ticket price. And so the end lesson for me was it was costing me money to be sitting on the sidelines and not taking action, not joining something. And that's not just saying go and, fire off and buy any program, but it's about getting an experience with the people who are going to be a part of that program. It's going to a webinar, it's going to a training, it's getting on a coaching call or a strategy call with somebody who can talk through and help you gain clarity so that well, yes, this is absolutely the direction I want to go. And it seems like it's a no-brainer for me to head down this path with you than to try to go through the forest on my own without a map about exactly how I'm going to get where I need to go.
Steven, I love how incredibly concise you are and articulate, and how you just kind of went boom, boom, boom. Thank you so much for that. Like, that was so good. I love that. So I just love that. Thank you. So I want to talk to you a little bit about this whole idea of building your business based around your clients. This is how I've always built my business. So I just love to hear your perspective on what this is, first of all, because we all see things differently, and then how you've done it, and, any kind of advice around that.
Yeah. And it goes back to kind of what we were talking about, right? I went from this place of this mindset and this belief that, I can't spend money on coaching. Otherwise I'm a fool. When I met people who had spent 30 or 40 grand on some kind of program, I literally had thought to myself, those guys got hoodwinked. And I remember I can think of a couple couples that I'd met at events, and I thought, well, those people are complete idiots. And now I realize that I'm the idiot. But through that process and doing lots of coaching and mentorship and different programs and personal development, all these things, I ended up learning really what was most important to me. I got clear on who I was. I got clear on what was important to me and what I was good at. And through that process of building my business, VonFinch, and flipping all of those properties and managing a team of 15 people in 2 different states, spending over $1 million in marketing in about a year and a half, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about what I loved about the business, and I learned a lot about what I wasn't in love with. And I came to this point where I thought to myself, is this the business that I want to be building for the next 20 years? And the answer was no. If you do the old rocking chair test, or in this case, I better not be in a rocking chair at 50, but I was kind of envisioning myself in this position, in this place where I was going to keep running this house flipping business, this high volume, low margin machine that was turning out deals and was making us great money. But I realized this wasn't where I wanted to be or what I wanted to be doing. And part of the reason was because the people that I was surrounded with, they weren't in alignment with my values. I didn't feel like I was serving on the level that I could. And people weren't open to these ideas that were so important to me, because I had really been enlightened by this idea that mindset is the core of all success, that when you can change your thoughts and beliefs, then you end up changing the actions you take and therefore the outcomes that you experience in your life. And so having this belief, having this realization, I wanted to share this with people around me. And fortunately in my business, I was able to share that with my team. I was able to share that with members of my mastermind community. I was able to share that with certain clients, but not all of them. And as I looked at the flipping business, we're buying houses directly from homeowners, 60, 70 cents on the dollar, and we're doing that at volume, and we're making a huge change in these people's lives. We're seriously, changing their day-to-day. We're taking them out of a difficult situation, and majority of the people are absolutely thrilled, but it wasn't enough for me. And so what I ended up doing was I started searching for some answers. And as I was sitting, after learning and being reminded about the importance of this idea of an ideal client, I started thinking through, well, how could I change my business to start serving these clients? And I came back and I started taking some action, because that's what I do. And I started making some shifts. I started focusing on the investor first and making our business really about serving them. And then I also realized, well, there's something that's still in alignment. It's just not quite there. And so after getting to this point where I had already made this decision that it was time for a change, I ended up stumbling upon the power of multifamily real estate and, frankly, commercial investment. And so as I started getting more familiar with that, I saw a lot of the attributes of things that I really like: the ability to scale, the ability to have economies of scale that can happen by buying multiple units at one given time, and the professionalism that is true within the industry. And so where that ended up leading me to was this idea of, okay, well, this could be a great place for our business to grow into. But what really ended up doing it for me was that I knew that at the end of the day, I wanted to be surrounded and working with people who were just like me, who are success-minded, who are successful, who have been earning a great income and want to figure out how can they create freedom, flexibility, and the ability to be able to make an impact in the world. And you can do that directly by investing. If you can start getting your money that you're making from hours worked or from companies that you own working in real estate, you can really start to see massive growth happen. And for me, the reason why that was so critically important was because the people that I'm surrounded with are the people that I end up becoming like. And so I wanted to make sure, and I am surrounded by people who are working at a high level, and I'm able to make a direct impact. And the second big piece for me was thinking about one-time sales versus long-term continuous relationships. And I'm a guy who likes to move fast, and I talk fast, and I sometimes can be curt from moment to moment. But when people know me, they know that I've got a big heart, that I'm here to support them, that I really do care about their success. And so by building these relationships, I knew that this is a business that I'd be thrilled to be in for the long term. And that's what ended up leading to the shift of deciding that this is the path we need to go. And we completely changed our business a few years ago to help be able to support and move in this direction.
So interesting. And so when you look at your clients that you're sort of building this business around, we have, from my perspective, we have three different clients. We have the client that we buy from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully you build a relationship, because many of these clients that they may have several properties, they may, maybe they want to let go of an entire portfolio, right? So there's the people that you buy from, the people that you sell to, and the people that you work with, right? So what is your biggest focus, or do you sort of focus on all three? Like your team, right, is also they're your clients too, right?
Absolutely. So at the core, we are really clear on what our values are, and we really value the idea of partnering with experts. Throughout everything we do, we hire experts, we partner with experts, we bring experts internal onto our team, because we know that everyone has a unique ability, something that they're amazing at, their superpower. I know mine, you know yours, and our team members each know theirs. And so by being able to partner with experts, we're able to leverage what we're really good at while leveraging a track record of 10 plus years of experience in the business, so that we've been able to scale quickly to be able to make a direct impact without necessarily having to go and do everything ourselves. We actually believe that we're putting our clients as well as our business, which is built upon our team, in a much better place by doing this, because sometimes people get stuck in this idea that I need to get everything for myself. But we're not like that. We truly believe that it's all about, when we do better, we all do better. And so we want to make sure that our limited partners, our investors, are supported, that they're going to do great in these deals. We want to make sure that our operating team on the ground is going to be well supported, and their experience is going to help support all of us to be able to go out and do the things that really matter most. And so in our real estate business, that's our key focus. We know that we've got operators, we've got, people that we're purchasing deals from on the ground, and we've got our investors. And throughout that experience, there's a track record, who we are, how we show up, what's important to us, and all of those things end up coming true. And so over time, we've really developed into, having a reputation that kind of stands for exactly what I've been describing.
Nice. I love that. I love the way that you talk about your operators being in their genius zone. I'm doing a construction project right now, and I went over this morning. We do our Thursday morning crew meeting, and it was funny because we got these new, oh my goodness, we have these balconies, right? So we got all this wrought iron stuff, and it was hideous. And I walked upstairs to look at it up close. And I was like, oh God, oh, this is horrible. And my contractors came out and they were like, yeah, we agree with you. I was like, thank goodness, because they worked hard to find this for me. I was like, oh gosh. So we're looking for something different. And one of the things that I told him this morning that I've really noticed is that I love working with exceptional people. And he is an exceptional contractor, and he makes my life and my business so much better. So I think that's so true, that who we work with, those vendors, those operators, all of those people are such a key piece to running a business that's aligned with our values, that feels really, really good and is sustainable over time. So thank you so much for mentioning that.
Yeah, well, it's just made such a big difference because it's this idea, and we have clients on our investor side who from time to time will ask, well, why don't you just operate directly? Why don't you're in the market or you have a good understanding, why don't you just put the team in place? It's just asset management. It's just this, it's just that. And the answer is, yeah, you're absolutely right. We definitely could. We have the ability to hire internally. We have the ability to bring on people that are on payroll. That means that we get to make more money. But the thought is that if we actually were to do that, we'd be going against what we believe in. And then second, that we truly do believe that by going and partnering with somebody who is in their genius zone, as you described it, the unique ability that's really, really good and has that track record, that we're actually setting ourselves up to make a lot more money as a result. Because rather than doing the things that we don't like doing, the things that don't fill us up, the things that aren't our unique ability, then we're taking away from time that could be spent growing and
Right.
making an impact
zone.
and making a difference.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This conversation has been awesome. I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Steven. Could you tell everybody, you're amazing. Tell everybody how they can reach you.
Yeah. So the best place to reach us is if you've liked the conversation we've had, I encourage you to go subscribe to the Investor Mindset Podcast. If you like we talk about this twice a week on the show. If you feel like this has been valuable and you enjoying the mindset stuff, then I encourage you, we put together a great free resource at theinvestormindset.com/success. And this, where we're diving into the top 5 success principles of a successful investor, lessons that have been learned over hundreds of interviews with some very impressive people. You can grab a copy of that at theinvestormindset.com/success. And if you listen and you like what we're talking about, you can hit me up on any of the social media platforms and just shoot a little DM over and letting me know that you listen to this show. And I'd love to connect with you.
Yay! Thank you so much for that. I love free gifts too. That sounds amazing. So it was the 5 principles of a successful investor, right?
Yes.
Love it.
That's exactly it.
Yay. Well, thank you for that. So, Steven, are you ready for our 3 rapid fire questions?
Let's do it.
Okay, good. So give us one super tip on getting started investing in real estate.
I think the most important tip when you're getting started real estate investing is getting clear on what you want and why you want it, and then figure out who's going to help you get there. And the reason why I've repeated this 3 times is because repetition is the mother of skill and the father of learning. And so if you're actually going to do this and you haven't done it already, then I encourage you to sit down and just really get clear on what is that thing that you actually want? What does life look like on the other side? Because once you get that clear, it's almost a foregone conclusion that you're going to take the action to get there because you're going to really be able to feel it. And sometimes people, they want that freedom. They want that flexibility. They want that independence, but they don't take this time up front getting clear. And then you'll end up where I was, where you built a successful business, where you made a huge impact. And then where you say, well, it's time to pivot, because even though I was clear on what I want, it wasn't actually what I really was going after. And you might be able to just save the time by just going directly to go rather than around the way. But it's just the way things go.
Yeah, I love that. And that's very aligned with how I teach people too. Always start with you and build around the business around the truth of who you are and where you're headed. So I love that. So talk to us about a little bit of a strategy on how to be a successful real estate investor.
Yeah, I think it starts with the exact same thing. But when it comes down to actually investing, you want to get you want to be in a position where once you know those 2 things, then it's time to take action. It's time to go figure out who you're going to partner with, who you're going to work with, and who is going to help support you within your business. That might be employees, that might be coaches, that might be masterminds, that might be training. Whatever those things are for you, you've got to get clear on who is going to help get you there. And that might mean going out to your network and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing, and this is what I want to accomplish. Would you guys happen to know anyone who might be able to give me a lead or make a connection? And by going directly to people who already know, like, and trust you that are in the space, they'll be able to connect you to someone else and to someone else and to someone else. And it's that power of your network that when you combine getting super, super crystal clear with going out and building phenomenal relationships, and you bring those 2 pieces together, you'll be in a really strong position to not only scale, but to do it in the right way.
Love that. And then what would you say is one daily practice you do personally that contributes to your success, Stephen?
Yeah, well, there's a set of practices that I consider my one practice, but every single day I wake up with movement, meditation, mapping, and mindset. And what I mean by that is I get up and I move for at least 10 minutes. It's often quite longer, but I'll go for a great run. I get that blood flowing and I start to get my brain in a place where I'm ready to step into my day. I'm a lot smarter when I'm moving, and so will you. So I encourage you guys all to do that. Meditation is a great way to slow down, especially for if you're a driver type A person like me, but even if you're not, we can start to see our thoughts and be able to catch ourselves when we're thinking something or we have a set of beliefs that isn't serving us in that moment. Now, of course, I listen to some mindset. I love listening to, obviously, great shows like the one you're listening to right now, as well as, other content that's going to help kind of enrich my brain and start putting me in the right state of mind for the day. And then finally, I always start my day with a map, with a very specific plan of what actions I'm going to take and what's most important for me that day. And when I do all four of these things, I end up operating and really, frankly, working from a much happier place.
I love that. How long does that whole process take for you normally?
It can take as little as 30 minutes, or it could take as long as an hour, hour and a half. It depends on the day. But by committing just to 5-10 minutes, 5 minutes of breathing, 10 minutes of running, a quick 5-minute process of mapping out the day. And while you're running, you can throw on a little something to motivate you to put in some of those thoughts and beliefs that you know are important. And you can put that all together, or you can separate it out depending on what works best for you on each given day.
Love that. Yay. Thank you. And that's so actionable. That was awesome. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So this has been awesome, Stephen. Thank you for everything that you've offered in this portion of the show.
Yeah, well, it's been amazing being here. And the biggest thing that I want you guys to take away from this is that in every single conversation, everything that you listen to, every time you turn on this show, every time you go listen to the Investor Mindset, every time you go read a book or you go to a conference or you open up some course that you're diving into, there's always something that you can take away. But the most important thing is that you take some action on it. So decide what's one thing from today's episode that you can do. Who is one person you can reach out to? What's one show you can follow that's going to end up setting you up to be in a much better place? So I encourage you to figure out what that is and take that action right now. And I look forward to being able to serve you guys in the future.
Oh, that was so good. I love that. And I love that. Do it right now. And ladies, you can do that. You can shut off this podcast and do it right now. And I love the way Stephen does that. I made a decision, and that day I met this person, right? Most of us don't act that quickly on decisions that we make. And one of the biggest determining factors for success is our abilities to make quick decisions, quick, good decisions. And so that means you have to be aligned. You have to be intuitive about what feels right and what feels wrong, what's good, what's settling with your gut. But you have to be able to make decisions fast and take action on them. And that's a huge characteristic of successful people. So thank you so much for highlighting that. And go ahead. I know you want to say one more thing.
Well, I just want to say that when you hear the story of me taking action and immediately deciding, and a week later being at an event, and a few days later having a mentor, and a year later having 75 flips under my belt, was that it took me 10 years to get to the point of making that decision.
That's right.
It took a long time. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was 17, and I was 27 by the time that I had bought my first property as an investment. And so it just goes to show that in that moment, I decided, and everything great happened from there. And so why wait 10 years? Why not just decide today?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Thank you. Thank you for that. We do have more in extra. We're actually going to be talking about scaling a business remotely. So ladies, you know that for me, freedom of choice, freedom of time are my biggest things that I strive for. That's how I define bliss. So for me, I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to spend time with my aging parents, right? Time is my thing. And systems, processes, and your team allow you to create that kind of freedom. So since Stephen is an expert in this, I asked him to please share with us how he's done it. So we're going to be doing that in extra. Yay! So definitely stay tuned for Extra for that. It's going to be awesome. So if you're not subscribed to Extra, you should get subscribed for this one. It's going to be really, really awesome. Go to Real Estate Investing for Women Extra.com. The first 7 days are free. So you can try it out, get this extra, get as many as you can download. And if you love it, you stay. And if you don't, no obligation. But just check it out. Real Estate Investing for Women Extra.com. For those of you that are leaving us now, thank you so much for joining Steven and I for this portion of the show. I look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, always remember, goals without action are just dreams. So get out there, take action, and create the life your heart deeply desires. I'll see you soon. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to find out more about how to become a blissful millionaire, go to blissfulinvestor.com. See you next time.